Hello everyone and welcome to my new video. This is Outrun on the Sega Mega Drive. It was kind of interesting how I ended up with this game. I was looking for it, but in the usual channels that I look, I couldn't actually find a decent copy of it. They were all sorts of, they're all sorts of just without cartridge, without manual, not without cartridge, what am I talking about? Without the box, without the manual, cartridge in scruffy condition and so on and so forth. And when you're trying to collect some retro games, it's always a good thing to try to get them in good a condition as possible. So I'd pretty much given up on the search of finding a decent copy of Outrun for the Mega Drive. So instead I ordered a copy of Turbo Outrun, because I had Turbo Outrun on the Commodore 64 and I played it in the arcades and it was pretty awesome, but I'd never actually encountered it on the Mega Drive. Now when the order came, I opened it up and I looked at the cartridge and the cartridge just said Outrun, and I thought, well, that's unusual because A, the car was different on the cartridge, and B, it just said Outrun. So I thought, well, okay, let's pop it in and see what we got. And it is the actual original Outrun. And so I had mixed feelings really. In one hand I was thrilled to get Outrun and the cartridge was in decent condition. But on the other hand I was a bit miffed because the case and instructions were for Turbo Outrun. So I thought, well anyway, sod it, let's have a go of it, let's see what it was actually like on the Sega Mega Drive. Now I had this was another one again that I had on the Commodore 64, and I had also played this in the arcades. Well, I played it in the arcades first. I mean, that back in the 80s, if you were into gaming, that pretty much was how it was. The arcades were the definitive version. Nothing was better than the arcade version of the games, because unless you had an exceptional amount of money and could afford an expensive 16-bit system, as they were then, the arcades were just far more powerful than the 8-bit systems that was out there. And I remember playing it in the arcades and I fell in love with it. I absolutely adored it. I liked Ferrari cars, had the Ferrari Testarossa, and graphically, sound wise, it was just awesome. It just assaulted your senses. It was lightning fast. You were driving a Ferrari. Some of the cabinets, you actually sat in a little sort of mock-up cockpit of the Ferrari. And yeah, I mean the music as well. The music from Outrun is legendary, and having that blasting at you through stereo speakers in all of its glory was just awesome. When it came out on the 8-bit formats, it obviously never captured those heights. The Commodore 64 sounded the part, but it looked bloody awful. The Spectrum looked better but sounded bloody awful, and I don't have a clue about the Amstrad. It was probably somewhere in between, or knowing my luck, probably a lot better. But in any event, none of the 8-bit formats that I saw or played ever came anywhere near at all conveying the arcade. The nearest I had before I played on this was on the Sega Master System. And that was pretty okay, but the sound was bloody awful. I mean, the sound on the Master System sounded like it was played on a Rolf Harris sponsored stylophone at best. I mean, it was just terrible. I mean, the sound on the ZX Spectrum, in my opinion, was better than the Master System. I don't know what the hell sound chip why they decided that sound chip was good, but I mean it was crap even for an 8-bit format. I mean the NES was far better. The C64, which was much older than the Master System, again that had a far better sound chip in it. So why they decided that was an acceptable one, I'll never know. But the Mega Drive had a much better sound chip in it. And yeah, I popped this in and I was pleasantly surprised. I'm not going to turn around and say this is arcade perfect, because to be truthful and honest, I can't remember the arcade now, but it's probably as near as damn it on the home format that isn't using an emulator of the arcade, I hasten to add, because I know a few years ago Sega released Outrun 2 on the Xbox, and that did have the original Outrun arcade game as part of the unlockable features on there. I know because I had it and I bloody loved it. But I can't remember now how close this is to the arcade. One of the problems with retro games is once you've stopped playing them and they get consigned to your memory, the old rose-tinted glasses tends to come out and any roughness and crappiness tends to get overlooked. But certainly as a standalone and not part of any sort of emulated compilation and or freebie, this is probably as near as damn it, both sound wise and graphically wise, and more importantly as well playability wise, that I've seen. Now there's probably people out there that will be jumping up and down and saying, oh, this version was better or that version was better, and you could be right, but I don't know. I mean, I'm just going off what I've actually encountered and what I've played, and this ticks all the right boxes for me. You know, it does knock it out of the park. They've done a fantastic job converting the arcade. And again, I'm guessing this was one of the early Mega Drive games as well. And this will have been one of the games that people played and they realised that, wow, you know, getting as near as damn it to arcade perfection was possible on the home format. I mean, the detail in the graphics and everything, I mean, it flies along, as you can see, at a rapid number of frames. There are some glitches here and there, but you know, there's quite a level of detail on the cars. You know, on the Commodore 64 they just looked like coloured blocks that was flying past you. You know, they were so poorly drawn, and that was really to try to keep the frame rates high. On the Mega Drive version, you know, you can see there's a lot of detail in there compared to other versions of the game that I've played. There's plenty of detail, and it still runs very rapidly. It is a great achievement. There's even, don't know if you can see it properly on this video, but even the hair of your driver and your passenger is animated as well. When you get up to like top speed, the hair's blowing and all that kind of stuff. It's bloody marvellous. The thing that's always disappointed me is Outrun was never it was never given a proper update that it deserved, and it kind of got a bit too late. I mean, I know Sega did something on the Xbox Live Marketplace and PlayStation Network this generation. I think it was it Outrun Arcade or something like that. That was kind of based on Outrun 2 and Outrun Coast to Coast. I have got a video of it up here on my channel. But it was sadly one of those franchises, they never really built on it as such. And I don't mean turning it into some sort of Need for Speed or, you know, Burnout game, nothing like that. But when you consider that they really did use the Sonic license for everything it was worth, by comparison, Outrun really did tend to get a bit of a short end of the stick, and now unfortunately Sega's license with Ferrari is finished. Now they can probably still make other Outrun games, but they're not going to feature Ferrari unless Sega strike up another deal, or have struck up another deal. So that's pretty sad, because I would love to see a new generation Outrun using a similar kind of stuff as to what you see here, because it is, at the end of the day, a truly awesome game and I absolutely love it. But anyway, that's Outrun on the Sega Mega Drive. Thank you very much for watching this video, and please stay tuned for my channel for more to come soon.